Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for February 3rd. February 3rd is the 34th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, with 331 days remaining until the end of the year, unless it's a leap year, and in that case, there would be 332 days remaining to the end of the year. I'm recording in 2020, so it's a leap year, so this year there are 332 days remaining to the end of the year. I want to pause for a moment and say happy birthday to my firstborn, Mike, also known as Monka Mike or Super Glue. I won't mention the year of his birth or his age to respect what little privacy he might have, but I did want to say happy birthday. Also, I'll spare you, the World Wide Web audience, YouTube videos. I'll spare you the narration of the legend of the day Mike was born. That's something that I do with my children, is when I'm talking to them on their birthday, I tell them, oh, I remember the day you were born. This happened and that happened. Y'all don't need to know that. But it is Mike's birthday, and I wish a very, very happy birthday to Mike and anyone else who's having a birthday today. And moving on into the material of the day, the word of the day today is hoi polloi, which is a noun that means the common people, the masses. It has been known to be used in a rather derogatory sense, but there you go. Sometimes hoi polloi is incorrectly used to refer to the elite, but I think they might be getting mixed up with the term hoity-toity. Hoi polloi comes to us directly from ancient Greek, where it means the many. In that context, hoi is an article, like the. And some people will say that, oh, you shouldn't say the hoi polloi because it would be like saying the dog, the crowd. But that might be correct if we were actually ancient Greeks, which we are not. And in current usage, it is perfectly appropriate, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, to precede the term hoi polloi with the article the, as in the hoi polloi. Also, if you're going to use this term, you're probably going to have to teach it to your spell checker like I did. Now I want to pause for a moment here and remind you to go ahead and click that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video and feel free to share your comments in the comment section. And with that, we're going to move on to the year 1690, when the colony of Massachusetts issued the first paper money in the Americas. On February 3rd, 1780, a man named Barnett Davenport murdered the entire family of 5 with whom he was boarding. Up to that time, crime was generally seen as a result of common sinners losing their way. But as news of this crime came out, and it was a particularly horrible crime, horrible even by today's standards, or maybe even especially by today's standards, just horrible, it really did cause people to rethink their ideas about criminals and begin to perceive criminals as evil and alien to the rest of society. In 1809, the territory of Illinois was created by the 10th United States Congress. In 1870, the 15th Amendment to the United States Constitution was ratified, guaranteeing voting rights to all citizens regardless of race. On February 3rd, 1889, the outlaw Belle Starr was murdered by an unknown assailant. I do talk more about Belle Starr in another video, which is linked in the show notes. American painter and illustrator Norman Rockwell was born on February 3rd, 1894. He lived to the age of 84. The American gangster known as Pretty Boy Floyd was born on February 3rd, 1904. Being a gangster and a bank robber, he died pretty young at the age of 30. And I got to tell you, we had a real pretty rooster once. He was mixed breed, red and barred rock. So he had some striped feathers and some red feathers, and he was a big, proud, beautiful rooster. And we called him Pretty Boy Floyd. He was pretty. but he wasn't a criminal or a bank robber. So, in 1913, the 16th Amendment to the United States Constitution was ratified, authorizing the federal government to impose and collect income tax. 28th President of the United States, Woodrow Wilson, died on February 3rd, 1924. He was 67. Swiss author and photographer Billy Meier was born on February 3rd, 1937. Any of you who are interested in UFO studies may have heard of him. I've placed a link in the show notes to more information about Billy Meier. On February 3rd, 1944, American forces invaded and took control of the Marshall Islands, which had been occupied by the Japanese and used by them as a base for military operations. German-born British scientist Klaus Fuchs fled Germany in 1933 to escape Nazi persecution. He went on to help develop the atomic bomb with the Manhattan Project. But on February 3rd, 1950, Klaus Fuchs was arrested for passing atomic bomb information to the Soviets. Dude, fish or cut bait, what side do you want to be on? Jacques Cousteau's The Silent World was published on February 3rd, 1953. It's a memoir about his time exploring the oceans and was made into a highly acclaimed documentary in 1956. February 3rd, 1959 is known as the day the music died, when Buddy Holly, Ritchie Valens, and the Big Bopper died in a plane crash. On February 3rd, 1961, the United States Air Force began Operation Looking Glass. And for the next 30 years after that, a doomsday plane was always in the air with the capability of taking direct control of the United States bombers and missiles in the event of the destruction of the SAC's command post. February 3rd, 1966, Lunik 9 soft-landed on the lunar surface. This was the first controlled landing on the moon when the unmanned spacecraft Lunik 9 touched down on the Ocean of Storms on the moon. Wow. On February 3rd, 1984, the research team at Harbor UCLA Medical Center announced the history's first embryo transfer from one woman to another, resulting in a live birth. On February 3rd, 1994, President Clinton ended a trade embargo off Vietnam. This was a 19-year-old trade embargo of the Republic of Vietnam that had been in place since 1975, when North Vietnamese forces captured the city of Saigon in South Vietnam during the Vietnam War. February 3rd, 2002, the New England Patriots won their first Super Bowl. They shocked football fans everywhere by defeating the heavily favored St. Louis Rams 20-17 to take home their first Super Bowl victory. Pats kicker Adam Vinatieri made a 48-yard field goal to win the game just as the clock expired. On February 3rd, 2005, Alberto Gonzalez became the first Hispanic U.S. Attorney General. And I think that's going to do it for us today. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video. And if you have anything to say about any of the content I've given you today, feel free to share that in the comments section. One more time, I want to say happy birthday to my firstborn. While you're here, check out my other channel, 8 Susquehanna. I'm going to have some new material up there soon. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Mind your manners. All right, we're going to try this again. So many mistakes. Where were we? Oh, come on now. Thanks for reminding me. What is wrong with my mouth today? Let's try something different here. All right, do that again. There's a good girl. Good girl. I don't know how all that's going to go together, or if it's even going to make it to the video. We'll just see. That's not going to go. Probably cut all that out. That'll all be laying on the cutting room floor. So I'll just do that whole thing over. That might not make it into the video. We'll see. Changing it up.